documentary, Speices Extinction and Conservation.
There were so many questions we asked in the process.
These questions include what species have gone or are going extinct in Idaho.
What organizations are helping to prevent extinction of some species and what are they doing about it?
What are the causes of species extinction and what is the main cause of species extinction in Idaho?
How can we as a community prevent species extinction in Idaho?
How does species extinction affect the environment on a global scale? If we're focusing on Idaho, we must focus on species conservation worldwide.
Let's start with the basics. What is species extinction?
According to Merriam-Webster Dictionary, extinction is the state or situation that results when something, such as a plant or an animal species, has died out completely.
When writing the Endangered Species Act in 1973, Congress found that the various species of fish, wildlife, and plants in the United States have been rendered extinct as a consequence of economic growth and development untempered by adequate concern and conservation.
And while the ESA has saved at least 227 species since 1973, many animals have gone extinct since it took effect. At least 17 animal species have already died out in the 21st century, with all but 2 of these extinctions taking place outside of the U.S.
If there are 100 million different species on Earth and the extinction rate is just 0.01% a year, then 10,000 species will go extinct every year.
Alright, how does animal extinction affect you? You know, it's kind of funny because until I read this book, it wasn't something I thought a lot about. It's kind of like when I was in college, a friend of mine told me this story about her and her roommates. And they lived upstairs, and the girls downstairs had smaller apartments, so they were always inviting them over for dinner and stuff. Well, one of the girls downstairs was a prankster, and she would, every time she went in the house, you know, for dinner, she would take something to see how long it would take them to notice. And so they would go, at the end of the year, she invited them over, and they came, you know, downstairs to their apartment, and they walked in and they sat down and, you know, the meal was all ready, and they started looking around and going, that's my picture, that's my chair, that's my, you know, and I think it's kind of like that with extinction. You don't really notice, you know, I mean, there's so many things we, you know, so many animals, so many plants, so many things we don't notice until someone calls our attention to it. And then we go, whoa, you know, oh, my stuff's disappearing. And so I think that's what this book did for me, because I don't think I thought much about it until then.
Alright, can you summarize the 6 extinctions?
You know, there have been 5 mass extinctions over the history of the Earth. And this book is about the fact that we are entering the 6th mass extinction. It's kind of like the wake-up call. It's the walking downstairs and sitting in their apartment and all of a sudden realizing that all these things have disappeared from yours. And so the best summary would be that it's a wake-up call to us that things are disappearing, and we have had a huge, you know, up till now, there have been, you know, maybe you would expect in your lifetime to see one thing become extinct, and we're seeing so many things, so many different organisms disappearing, that's what this book is essentially about.
And what do you believe we as humans can do to slow or stop mass extinctions?
You know, it was kind of funny when I was a little bit older than you. I was like 19. I went to on a Rotary scholarship to Australia, and we landed in the Fiji Islands to refuel. And when we landed there, and we were going to get off, you know, the plane for a little while they did some stuff to it, I guess, they sprayed us down, and I had no idea what they were spraying us with. I found out later it was an herbicide, and they were very afraid that we were going to bring into the Fiji Islands spores, seeds, little, you know, things that would compete, invasive species that would compete with the things that had developed there. But nobody even told me what it was. I had no idea what they were doing. So I'm thinking one of the major things we could do is education. I mean, because I had no idea, even back then, that was 35 years ago, they were trying to take measures to stop. So I think, for me, education is huge.
Now that we've looked at species extinction from around the world, let's take a look on a more personal level. Let's look around Idaho at the birds of prey.
In Idaho, we have many threatened and endangered species.
These species include the grizzly bear, the woodland caribou, the gray wolf, the American lynx, and the American peregrine falcon.
And that is what we chose to focus on, the American peregrine falcon.
Although no longer endangered, their rescue is very important.
The Peregrine Fund was founded in 1970 to restore the peregrine falcon, which was removed from the U.S. endangered species list in 1999.
That success encouraged the organization to expand its focus and apply its experience and understanding to raptor conservation efforts on behalf of more than 100 species in 65 countries worldwide.
Their mission is to restore rare species through captive breeding and releases, improve capacity for local conservation, conduct scientific research and environmental education, and conserve habitat.
Why did the peregrine become endangered?
So the peregrine falcon and other birds of prey began to decline, their populations began to decline in the 60s, and we weren't sure why, but they stopped having kids. And so scientists, biologists went out and studied them and tested the hypothesis that DDT was causing eggshell thickness to decrease. And so what happened was we found that mom and dad would sit on their eggs and they would break because the chemical prevented the enough calcium from being deposited on the shells. And so for years, peregrines, bald eagles, and other raptors couldn't have any kids. And so when the parents start to die off and they haven't had kids to replace themselves, they become critically endangered very fast. And so in 1973, the Endangered Species Act was started, and the first three birds were the peregrine falcon, the bald eagle, and the California condor. And so it became endangered because we put it on an endangered species list, but it was almost extinct because of the use of DDT.
All right, so why was the Peregrine Fund created?
So the Peregrine Fund was created to address that issue of peregrine falcon decline. And so there were 39 known pairs of peregrine falcons here in the lower 48 states. And as such, they were just not able to recover on their own once DDT was removed. And so as the Peregrine Fund started to supplement the wild population with captive bred birds. And so the experiment we had was to see if we could raise them in captivity and release them in the wild so that they would be wild birds. And so we began by breeding peregrines and releasing them into the wild. That's why we started.
All right, what was the biggest success of the Peregrine Fund or the Birds of Prey?
So the Peregrine Fund, lots of successful projects, but probably our proudest moment was in 1999 when the peregrine falcon was taken off the endangered species list. And so we had statewide recovery throughout the United States, and because of the work that was done here in Boise, the United States Fish and Game took the Peregrine Fund off the endangered species on a ceremony up here at the center. And so that's one of many, but probably our proudest day.
All right, and how do you believe, or what do you believe we can do to stop extinction of species?
Sure, so you're standing at the World Center for Birds of Prey, which is our education center at the Peregrine Fund. And each project, each species may need specific things to be recovered and not to go extinct. But the underlying theme of all of these projects is education. And so if the general public are aware of the problems, or of rather the solutions, or become part of the solutions, then I wouldn't suspect anything should go extinct if everybody understands what's happening. Most of the time species go extinct because we aren't aware of what the effects of what we're doing are. And so I would say education is probably the one key part of any solution.
Species extinction is a real problem. If we do not fix what we as humans are doing, we will lose a significant part of our world.
This here is Gus, and he is a peregrine falcon. he was raised here while we were captive breeding and releasing peregrines. We released over 4,000 peregrine falcons into the wild throughout the United States. And Gus here is an ambassador of their species and gets to travel and help explain the peregrine story. Peregrine falcons, we put them out into the wild back when peregrines were down to 39 pairs in the United States. Known pairs. There could have been some really sneaky ones, but...
Are you filming?
Mm-hmm.
I'll do it really quickly before she finishes peeing. Are you ready? Why are you?
How can we... Music.
I'm
kidding, yeah.
Oh, I gotta compose myself. Okay. When we're... How does species inspection?
We chose to focus on the American peregrine falcon.
She said peregrine.
What is it?
Peregrine.
Peregrine?
It's an R, not a U.
I dropped it. Hannah? That does not taste very good. Oh, it's minty.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, go.
Oh, kind of sour.
Ew.
Okay.
Wasting storage.
Sorry. Oh, okay, I got it. Okay. The Peregrine Fund was founded in 19...
Peregrine!
10% per year, then 10,000 species will go extinct every year.
Yeah.